Welcome to UWS Weekly, a show that is dedicated to covering United Women's Soccer, a national pro-am league with your host, Jonathan Ward. Each and every week, we will highlight players, supporters, and staff of the clubs we all pride ourselves to support in North America. The UWS is a league that is committed to advancing women's soccer. What's going on, soccer fans? Good evening and welcome to UWS Weekly, a show dedicated to covering all things UWS and UWS2. My name is Jonathan. I'm your host for UWS Weekly, and tonight I'm lucky to be joined by Soccer Sam of the Rochester Lancers, a club that is a charter member of the UWS and the roots of the league dating back to 2015. Before we jump into the interview with our guests, I wanted to bring you up to speed on some news from the league. Last night, we had the NWSL draft and also some news that came out from a player that was actually our former 2019 MVP. Just like Ashley Sanchez did last year, Stanford star Catarina Macario decided to forego her senior season to pursue her professional dream this year. Yet the two-time Mac Herman Trophy winner and the 2019 UWS Championship MVP did not choose the NWSL route. Instead, Macario has signed a 2.5-year deal with Lyon, who competes in France's National Women's League. Lyon is the most successful club in the world and the current Champions League holders for the last 5 years and has won 7 of the last few titles dating back to 2011, along with 15 league titles. The recent NWSL draft concluded with some UWS alums added to the rosters in the first round of the draft for the second straight year. The Santa Clarita Blue Heat can feel proud as an organization as USC forward Tara Micchione was taken 8th overall and UCLA midfielder Vivian Villacorta was taken 9th. The two were drafted by the Washington Spirit and Orlando Pride respectively. And again, it's the second straight year that the NWSL draft took 2 or more UWS alumni in the first round. This past weekend, soccer kicked off in Florida with a scrimmage between the Orlando Royals and the Unity FC. The score wasn't the headline, but rather that soccer is back and players got to see the pitch and play for the first time in a competitive match since early last year. I cannot wait to see these two teams over the coming months, with the league getting ready to resume with the new Sunshine Conference in the coming months. Expansion in the UWS and the UWS2 has been rapid, and this week is no different with the announcement of 2 new clubs to the league. Since we started this show in the first week of December, we've seen close to 10 teams and a few conferences created, and we don't anticipate the steady growth to go away anytime soon. This week, the UWS was proud to announce the expansion. That expansion has come to the Midwest, as Michigan Stars FC will join the conference in the Midwest, and in the East, the Connecticut Rush has been added to the lineup for 2021 as well. The Michigan Stars Football Club is a professional men's team currently participating in NISA, the National Independent Soccer Association, which is the 3rd tier on the American soccer pyramid. The women's team will primarily consist of college athletes nationwide, with an emphasis placed on in-state players. Future plans will include players from their newly formed youth club, creating a competitive pathway from youth to adult. General Manager Chris McAnally says, "We are very excited to join the UWS. Youth soccer plays such a huge role in thousands of young girls' lives in Michigan. We are excited to announce an opportunity for these players to begin their careers in youth soccer and finish their playing career in a pro-am as adults, all with the same club. We're also excited to bring high-level soccer for young girls to watch and emulate." The Connecticut Rush will be the second team associated with Rush Soccer, an international sports organization focused on the development of soccer players, and the Northeast Rush to join the UWS the same month as an Albany, New York-based team was announced back on January the 5th. Based out of the greater New Haven area, the Rush will serve as the second UWS team from the Nutmeg State alongside Connecticut Fusion, who are based out of the greater Hartford area. We're so excited to be building the next step in our players' pathway for girls and women's soccer in Connecticut. stated Ed Green, who's the general manager of the Connecticut Rush, UWS has proven to be the best women's league in the country for players looking to continue to grow as players during their college years and for those who have aspirations to play professionally. Having a first team will not only be great for our Connecticut Rush club, but also directly benefit our younger players to have role models to look up to and emulate. All right, so that brings me to tonight's guest. Again, I'm lucky to have the opportunity to speak with this man. He is known as the GOAT or the legend in Rochester for the Lancers. Soccer Sam, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And before we get started with questions, why don't you kind of introduce yourself and how you got involved in soccer, as well as your role in the community in Rochester?
Jonathan, thanks for having me. I guess in 1970, I fell in love with the game 10 years old. I ran adult leagues. I worked for the Rochester Rhinos. I worked for the Buffalo Blizzard. And eventually I got lucky and started my own team in 2011, indoor Lancers. And then the dream came true when Joe Ferrara called me up, and now we're in the UWS. So I'm really excited on what I do. And the Lancers, our goal is to turn that next 10-year-old kid into a soccer nut like me.
Definitely. So the Lancers have been around since the late 60s, has a really rich history in American soccer. The women's team obviously becoming in 2015 with the UWS. What is the vision and the mission of the club?
Our goal is simple. We respect our history. We look forward to developing the next generation of soccer stars and just give back to our community. It's really, that's what we're here for. We're not here to make money. We're not here to make a profit. We are here to give back in any way possible, not only to the game, but to nonprofits in our area.
So one of the things that I've noticed from the club is the pyramid structure within the organization, which is development, evolution, exposure, and standards. Can you kind of walk us through that and give me an idea of those four cornerstones?
Sure. In 1996, I met Doug Miller, probably one of the greatest players to ever play indoor soccer in America and play for the A-League, for the Rhinos, all-time leading scorer. Doug started putting together camps and clinics back in 96 when it was kind of new here, having pro players do that. And now he has his own program. We converted that program, the DMS program, to the Lancers youth program. So that's where kids start at all age groups. It's indoor bubble. It's the best probably in the state of New York, biggest and best, brand new, blue turf, yellow logo in the center of the turf. Kids just love being part of it. So you go from there, and then we have a men's NPSL team. We have obviously the women's team, the UWS team, and then we have indoor professional soccer with the MASL team. And we are now talking about possibly bringing another M2 team, which is a major indoor soccer league to this area. So, I mean, you start off at a young age and you can work your way up, and whatever way you decide to go, if your strength is indoor soccer, we can hook you up. And if your strength is outdoor soccer, either side, we can make it happen.
So what drew your organization to the UWS?
Well, it's a long story, but in 96, the women's national team came here, and I fell in love with women's soccer. Everyone knows that my favorite team is our women's national team. Mia Hamm, I hung out with her, Michelle Akers. I mean, all the who's who. And quick story, Brandy Chastain was on my show, my radio show, the Saturday before the World Cup final. And I asked her, which I ask all my guests, give me a crazy celebration so I know you're talking to me. And that historic celebration, I'm thinking in my mind, that was a tribute to me, but maybe not. But I fell in love with the women's team back then. The Rochester Ravens played the national team. The Ravens eventually left. I was heartbroken. The Western New York Flash came to town. I got to meet all the stars, Alex Morgan, Sam Ewis. They all hung out here in Rochester. We supported them. We sponsored them. And then they left, and I was heartbroken. I said, hey, women's soccer is gone. All these young ladies need role models. I made some calls, got lucky, called Joe. Joe told me his vision. In my opinion right now, I don't care what anybody says, you take the women's national teams up here, and that's we're the only thing that matters right now is UWS, in my opinion, when it comes to women's soccer in America.
Crazy that you actually talked to Brandy, and maybe had she not been on your show, we would not have had a celebration and the opportunity to witness history being made with the finishing with that World Cup. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Well, I had her on like after that, and she didn't give me any credit. So, she just said it was something she was thinking about all day. So, but anyway, hey, she's a role model. I can't wait for that movie to come out that they're doing right now and Netflix, the history of the women's national team. But Mia Hamm's brother, one of our sponsors is Camp Good Days and Special Times. It's a cancer camp. And Mia Hamm's brother was diagnosed with cancer. He passed away at a young age, and she hung out at the camp. We were with her, and we got pretty tight, and it was just kind of cool over the years. So that was my connection with women's soccer back then, and I've been following ever since and loving it. And I just think it's a different style of soccer, but it's a style I love the most.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question. And what are some of the ways the club impacts the community through its efforts and outreach? Can you kind of give us some insight into the club's association with that cancer foundation?
Sure. We go there every year. They bring in kids from all over the world that are suffering from cancer. Most of them, it's like their last wish. And we go out there with our team. A lot of our players speak different languages, so we connect with them. It's a yearly tradition. My staff and I, we go down there, bring my family with me. It's just a beautiful place. Camp Good Days, Special Times. And then, we do with that. Breast Cancer Coalition is close to us here in Rochester. We do a lot with the Breast Cancer Coalition. We do camps and clinics for free, not in your traditional places. We usually do them in parking lots of supermarkets, and we're not looking to score and make big money. We're just trying to expose young kids, from 4 to 8 years old to the game of soccer, and hopefully then we let the coaches and the clubs and I call them the money grabs. They take it from there. We just try to do our part to kind of get the kids to fall in love with the sport. And that's what we do. We're everywhere. Any festival in town, we're there handing out free stuff, free soccer balls, anything we can do to get kids to fall in love with the sport. And that's kind of how I fell in love. And so many of my friends that are still diehard soccer fans, they fell in love with the original Lancers. And they were just way ahead of their time, man. They were everywhere. Every weekend, the Lancer players were somewhere where you could go see them. And it could have been at a park where there's a picnic, and it could have been a new car dealer. And we've tried to carry on that tradition here in Monroe County.
So going back to the women's team and the history, the legacy, what kind of players make up your women's team?
Well, mainly college players, either, ladies that either played before and are done and come to us, or ladies that, are still in college. We try to keep it local. We try to keep it American with our local players developing talent here in town. But, we've also brought in some legends. Elin Eklund from Sweden came here, and Tanisha Taylor from Germany. Ladies trying to make, that next level here in American soccer. And we got lucky with our coach, Sal Galvano, and our assistant coach, Nicole Hercules, their connections here in the community. So we've had the who's who of international soccer kind of make a pit stop here, and also some of the best local players, either college or we even had Dory Rizzo, a high school superstar, play for us, and she just lit it up. So, we're having fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like everything kind of happens for a reason, and you're doing a good job of developing the game. And kind of speaking of that, what impact has the team had on the success or the development of the youth program that's happening with the Rochester program?
Well, I think a lot of young kids today, there's so many different programs. Parents don't know where to go. And usually it's either close to your house, the player, a coach, you connect. Well, now they're looking for that brand, and the Lancers are a brand here. And a lot of the parents and the grandparents grew up watching the original Lancers, and a lot of them grew up watching the 2011 to 2015 indoor Lancers. So now they got a chance to have their grandchild or kid play on this elite program. And then they meet Doug Miller, the superstar player who runs the program. He's there every day. And so I think that's what, I think our advantage over some of the other clubs and why we're doing so well with it. It doesn't help us at the gate because a lot of clubs don't support you if you're in the youth soccer business, unfortunately. But we just felt that this was the best way to kind of develop kids the way we think they should be developed. And, we took a risk with that. And, I'm not saying they boycott us, but a lot of the clubs just don't support us because we're the competitor on the field.
That's a shame. One of the things that we talk about is community and building up together, because you're only as good as as you can be as you work together. This year's been difficult for all organizations and sports throughout the world. What have you taken away from this experience, both positive and perhaps negative?
I'm not sure I can find very many positives, but negative, it's been a challenge. My real business, our main sponsor, the logo's behind me. It's been a challenge, trying to keep our locations open, our governor making changes on a daily basis. So, that's been a challenge. Our sponsors, how do I go after a car dealer that's been sponsoring me for years and ask him for a sponsorship for this upcoming season, knowing that he was closed down, he can't get cars on his lot, he's laying off people. So, we realize that this is going to be a challenging season coming up with sponsors, with people that have been out of work, unable to collect money that they need to collect. So we are going to try to think outside the box on this season and make it real easy for our fans to come to our games and just say thank you to the sponsors that sponsored us in the past. We're not looking to charge our sponsors this upcoming season. We're going to give them a break saying, hey, recover, man. We all have to recover together and recover, keep on supporting us down the road. And when you catch up, we'd be happy to take that check from you. And we're going to hopefully proudly do the same thing with all our season ticket holders and people that have been supporting us, just giving them a break to come to the games and enjoy every moment of it and try to forget this craziness that's happened here in America since March.
Yeah, it's definitely been a hard time. I mean, California restrictions have been changed regularly. Yesterday or the day before, it was like snap of the finger and everything's open, or they're reopening things, but not even addressed to the public. So I totally understand that and sympathize, because as a friend of mine has said, we all have to be able to work together during this time and build everybody up. So hopefully we're able to see that out in Rochester. So what makes soccer different out there? Obviously the indoor soccer vibe is huge. We see the live streams, we see you behind the scenes doing everything and promoting. Reminds me of the old CISL days here in Sacramento with the Knights and kind of how they made the game and they grew the game. But what makes Rochester soccer different from other parts of the country?
I think I fell in love with indoor soccer because it was like a party. It was an event. It wasn't necessarily there for that diehard soccer fan, that European soccer fan. It was there to kind of turn someone onto the game, and that's what we bring to our games. Our games, the minute you walk through that gate, it's a party going on. There's music playing. There's T-shirt tosses every 5 minutes. Autograph sessions after the games. I mean, I'm not saying the game's secondary, but the game is secondary. You're really there to have a good time. And when you leave there, when I was with the Rhinos back in '96, we would draw 14,000 fans a game. My goal was to get 10%, 1,400 fans to become diehard soccer fans. Now, if we're drawing 1,400 fans a game, my goal is to get 10%, 140 people, 140 kids to fall in love with the game. And they don't necessarily have to be soccer people. They can be people that hate soccer, but when they come to the game, they get that autograph. They're like, I got to come back to the next game and see that player, or they can relate to that player's number because they wear that number. And we just roll with it, and we try to make it a party. We got a dance team, obviously the mascot, all the things that a lot of the other American sports teams have done for years. But unfortunately, soccer in some states and some areas has kind of neglected the things that fans see when they go to NFL games, NHL games, NBA games. We bring that to our games, and it's important.
Do you find that you have a better atmosphere, better community involvement, supporters groups based off of your game day atmosphere because of what you're able to do when you're outside with the women? Do you see that the community is alive and vibrant?
We don't necessarily have like a supporters group with the drums and the smoke bombs and all that stuff. It's more of a family event is what we're going after. They do come, and obviously some of the teams we play against, they bring in their supporters groups. So our fans get a taste of it. It's never been a real popular thing here in Rochester, and I can't tell you why, but I really don't know why. But our fans that do come, we have diehard season ticket holders emailing us constantly, calling us constantly. When's the season going to start? What's going on with indoor? What's going on with outdoor? What's going on with the men's team, the women's team? So we have diehard fans, but it's different than what you see watching some of the other games on TV. It's more of just a relaxed family atmosphere, and the people that are just like buzzing on what's going on around us.
Nice. What are some of the challenges you face, though? Weather obviously is a problem when we get further in and early on. But what are some of the challenges you face for your outdoor to get the women's team going? What are some of the challenges that you're facing on a regular basis?
I think our biggest challenge is a stadium that works. We have a state-of-the-art stadium here in Rochester, but it just hasn't worked. I mean, the Western New York Flash folded, the Rochester Rhinos folded. The stadium, some people say it's location. I think it's the layout and design of the stadium just doesn't work. So we're playing at a high school stadium, which is a state-of-the-art Aquinas Institute Stadium. But we have to work around their dates and kind of, especially now with what's going on with COVID, a lot of their fall sports might get moved to spring and summer. So that's going to change our schedule. We may not get those prime Friday and Saturday nights anymore, and try to have to work around this to get this through. But that I think is our biggest challenge is our facility, and getting the media behind our sport. And we're right up the street from Buffalo. We're 60 minutes from Buffalo. Buffalo Blizzard, the Buffalo the Buffalo Blizzard, the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I'm stuck in indoor soccer now. You got me thinking indoor soccer. The Buffalo Bills and the hockey team there, they draw our media attention, and that's our challenge. So we have to go out there and just reel in the customers. We have to reel in the fans to get them hooked on the game, because the media is not going to be behind us. I mean, this used to be Soccer Town USA. It's just not anymore. I mean, we after we lost the Lancers of the NASL, we lost the Flash of the A-League, then we lost the Ravens, then we lost the Western New York Flash, then most recently we lost the Rhinos, which is probably the most recent popular team in this area, and the media kind of gave up on the sport. So we're trying our best with our indoor teams and our outdoor teams to get that 3,000 fans a game for our indoor games, and our outdoor games. If we get 1,200, 1,400, I'm really happy.
So Sam, with the UWS and you guys being a charter member going back to 2015, who is your biggest rival in the league?
Well, I mean, Syracuse was Brooke Barbuto. I call her MVP, most valuable Paisan. The girl was amazing for us. And she tells me, hey, I'm going to be leaving to go play for Syracuse. I didn't sleep for like a week. I was heartbroken. I mean, she was like part of my family. And when Brooke said she was leaving for Syracuse, I said to Coach Sal, look, whatever you do, the only games you got to win this year is against Syracuse and Brooke. And she better not score a goal. Well, she did score goals for us, and playing Brooke, and her whole family comes. They do tailgating, the whole thing. So that's our biggest rival, or was our biggest rival, and we hope to see them back soon in our league.
And then my last question before we get into the rapid fire, the hard hitting questions: how impactful has the community been for you guys as a club and as an organization?
So can you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
The idea is, how impactful has the community been for the organization?
The community in general supporting us? Is that what you mean?
Yep.
We get amazing support from our community, but not our soccer clubs. And that breaks my heart, man. I mean, when I was with the Rhinos, the soccer clubs wouldn't play on Friday night because the Rhinos had a game. They wouldn't play on Saturday night because they had a game. Now the soccer clubs, either the coaches are too busy, they look at us as a competitor, it's a different era, they don't support. And they didn't support the Western New York Flash. We had Abby Wambach here, one of the greatest players of all time. We had Alex Morgan here. They wouldn't go to the games. The teams wouldn't go to the games, and that just breaks my heart. We definitely have the diehard fans that don't miss a game, indoor, outdoor, rains, snow. We've had games at the Blue Cross Arena during a blizzard, snow blizzard, that 10,000 fans show up. So we definitely have our fan base, but we just don't have that soccer fan base, and it kills me because these coaches and their parents, some of them don't realize that, yeah, those cones are great, man, and those, running around laps is beautiful. But there's nothing going to turn your kid on more to the game of soccer than seeing real action in front of you. Fall in love with that player. Fall in love with that player's number. There's nothing more important than that. And unfortunately, in this market, we're just not getting that right now.
Man, well, hopefully things turn this year, especially with some of the additions of the league, especially up towards your way, where we've got more teams coming in Albany, Connecticut. So there's a lot more rivalry that can happen, right? So hopefully we can get some more community behind it. But let's get into some rapid fire. These questions, there's a group you cannot skip. question. Well, you can skip one question. I'll allow one skip, but you can skip one question, but you won't know the next question until you answer it. So my first question on rapid fire: who plays Soccer Sam in the documentary movie that is going to be created this summer?
Wow, you know about it, huh?
Yep.
The actor George Clooney, man. Come on, look at this hair.
All
I
right.
mean, that's
Yeah,
gotta
that's
be George
true.
Clooney.
Fair enough. Best soccer memory.
First ever Lancer game, 1970. Iris DeBrito scores a goal, does a somersault celebration, and I was an overweight 10-year-old kid, and I tried for months to do somersaults.
Still trying?
Still trying, I can't do it. I ended up in a wheelchair for a couple weeks one time.
Oh no. Oh no. Toughest soccer environment that you've ever witnessed.
Toughest is Chicago against the Mustangs in the playoffs. We beat them. I got popped in the head with a pipe coming through the fence, and it was an all-out brawl. It was so cool. It was so cool.
You get hit with a pipe, and that is cool. All right, fair enough. You're a pizza connoisseur? I'm assuming you have branches in Rochester. My question for you is, this comes from my friend Alexis Guerreros. Does fruit belong on pizza?
When people put pineapple or figs on pizza, like, what are you thinking, man? No, it doesn't. I mean, I know people like that Hawaiian pizza with the fruit, the pineapple on it, and the I call them the fake pizzerias, the wood burning pizza places. They're the fake pizza places.
Brick oven.
$17. Yeah, they put the fig on there. Like, come on, yeah, like, give me pepperoni, mushrooms, and sausage. That's a real pizza.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what is that food that you're eating?
It's simple, baby. Pizza. I'm on vacation. It's pizza 3 times a day. Here at the office, at least pizza daily. We have some type of pizza. If it's not ours, we're trying our competitors. I have to have pizza daily.
All right, favorite pizza then?
Obviously, the brand is the brand behind me. My favorite is pepperoni, mustard, and sausage on thin crust.
All right, fair. That's I could mess with that. That'd be good. Sounds good now, actually. Favorite pair of soccer boots or indoor shoes of all time?
All I wear is Adidas. It's the original brand. Vic Carlson, old school coach, back in the early 70s, opens up his trunk. It's all he has, Adidas. And all his kids bought his Adidas wear. And then we, for years, I never stopped wearing Adidas. When Nike and all these other brands came into town to kind of steal their thunder, I've been loyal to the brand of Adidas. For our soccer team, though, we use whatever brand is free, because if it's free, it's for me.
Fair enough. And then before we let you go this evening, before we part ways, I have one question, and that question is, what does community mean to you?
It means everything. That's a big part of what I do in my real business and in the soccer business. I love the city of Rochester, New York. There's a lot of great organizations here, and we do our part yearly and daily to support them all, keep everyone connected, and give back to this community. And it's not just soccer related or sports related. It's health related, and kids that are struggling with getting Christmas gifts for Christmas. We had Santa Claus go visit a bunch of kids, and we went to the hospitals to take care of all the workers that are working in the COVID departments, and hook them up with gifts from Santa and Mrs. Claus, and just constantly giving back. And I just love the city of Rochester, New York. Born and raised here, love it so much. And I hope to someday our UWS team could reach the success of the Rhinos during my heyday with the Rhinos. That's my dream, is to have the right facility to get our UWS team and just get that 15,000 fans back here in Rochester. And I hope to do it someday soon.
Well, Sam, I really appreciate you taking the time. I hope to make it out to Rochester this summer for a match or two, and we'll be in contact. And I'm hoping for the best for the upcoming season. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Jonathan.
Cheers, my friend. So this next segment is Beyond the Pitch. And before we get started, a special thank you to Soccer Sam for taking the time this evening in his busy schedule to have a conversation regarding the Rochester Lancers. So this segment is dedicated to highlighting individuals in our UWS community doing awesome things away from the pitch. This person could be a supporter, club staff, or a player who is doing the things that make our community awesome. Tonight for Beyond the Pitch, I'm honored to be joined by the assistant coach of the Rochester Lancers, CEO of NHM Consulting, the founder of the Rochester City Soccer League, Rochester City Soccer Schools, and chair of the United Soccer Coaches Black Advocacy Group, Nicole Hercules. Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me tonight. How are you doing, first off?
Doing well. I'm going to apologize now for any background noise. I'm actually at the convention in Kansas City, so we're having dinner right now. So I'm just outside where it's a little less noisy, but still somewhat noisy. So my apologies for that.
Oh, no worries. So before we get started, thank you for taking the time again. Tell us about yourself and what makes you tick.
You know, especially right now, what really makes me tick is just people who don't care about other people. You know, for me, the work that I do, it's really centered around community. It's really centered around making sure that individuals thrive from populations that are underserved and underrepresented. So when people are taking advantage of people, or if people are, you know, just doing things that are just unjust, I have a problem. So that makes me tick.
So you are super invested in everything and involved in your community. What drives you to be so involved in the Rochester soccer community post-career?
I'll tell you what, it started a long time ago when I was still in high school and I was playing for the Rochester Ravens that, you know, I know Soccer Sam mentioned a little earlier. I was still in high school and one of the local coaches had asked me to come and work with a group of kids. And I didn't know how to coach at that time. So one thing I knew was like how to dribble a soccer ball. I'm big on skill work. So I was teaching the kids how to play soccer and I said to them, hey, I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to take the ball off my foot. If you can do that, then we can do what you want. If not, then, you know, we'll do work the way I like to do skill work. You know, so after a minute and a half, they couldn't take the ball off of my foot. And at the end of the session, I was able to talk to the group of kids. And one of the little girls looked at me and said, where are you from? And it bothered me because, you know, she was a young black girl. And I think in her mind, she thought that black people didn't play soccer. So for her to see me playing the game meant something to her, and it confused her. It was me because I was never raised to think that there was anything that I couldn't do. And it bothered me that anyone would think that there's anything in this world that wasn't for them, no matter what race you are, no matter what, you know, going on. If you're underserved or underrepresented, if you don't have access and opportunities, my responsibility is to create it.
Nice. And so what was it like for you to start the Rochester City Soccer League? How many participants do you have in the program?
Around 600 kids now. And it was, you know, luckily we actually had Flower City Soccer before. We had, is this too loud? I'm sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine.
It's pretty loud. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So before we had the Rochester City Soccer League, there was Flower City Soccer that was around before. One of the things that really important was to make sure that kids had soccer at the time. It was probably a couple years where we had a group of kids who were so talented that they all started playing for Premier Soccer. So the rest of the league kind of fell apart because all the resources went into those 14 kids that were playing at the next level. So I had to kind of come in and create the Rochester City Soccer League for the other 500 kids at the time who didn't have soccer because the Flower City Soccer League had fallen apart. You know, so it took, you know, meeting with the Rochester City School District, meeting with City Council, meeting with the mayor, meeting with Recreation Department, and, you know, all coming together in accord to create an opportunity for kids in our city.
Well, that's awesome. And it's thriving, right? 600 and counting is how we should look at this. You're currently in Kansas City enjoying so as the chair of the United Soccer Coaches Black Advocacy Group, what is your role and what is the mission of the group? I know you guys are hosting right now, but tell us a little bit about the group and your role in it.
Well, I'm actually the first female chair, and my role really is to just create opportunities for coaches to make sure that I'm a servant leader, and any gap or that there may be in in place, and I'm bridging opportunities to our coaching community. So right now we look at the lack of coaching opportunities for coaches of color. And, we've created a pathway to leadership. We've created professional development courses. We've created mentorship programs. We work with MLS. We work with the Girls Academy. We've been working with the MLS Next, just to make sure that coaches and players are supporting in a way that hasn't happened before. So we're literally advocates. We step out and do the things that we can. If people are having a hard time getting a seat at the table, we have no problem speaking on their behalf.
Well, Nicole, I know you're a busy person. You got a lot going on this evening to make sure the finishing of the conference happens. I want to say thank you for taking that time to have this conversation, and we hope to have you on in the future and see you on the sideline once the Rochester Lancers start back up in play here in May.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Take care.
Have a great evening. Again, a special thank you to Nicole for taking the time to join us. You can catch her, her bio and everything else about her as the chair of the United Soccer Coaches Black Advocacy Group. You can check them out online. Thank you to our partner, Techni Football. Techni is an app to help players develop strong training habits on their own through repetition, tracking, and competition. Former U.S. national team and professional player Yael Averbush puts out a new training session every week with guest players and exciting new challenges regularly. Check it out in the App Store and get a free 7-day trial. Check them out online on Instagram at Techni Football for skills of the day. And don't forget to participate in this month's UWS Skill Challenge. This month's skill being demonstrated by Yael is how many passes can you complete in 1 minute that comes through the gate cleanly. The gate is 3 feet off the wall and 2 feet wide. So you got to make sure you get it through completely to count the repetition. Currently, the leader on the board is 64 that I am aware of, but a close second, this guy with 50. I still have a touch just a little bit. So Soccer Sam, if you're ever needing a player to come out, I got one. I'll help you out. Both the player with the top score and one entry selected at random will win a prize pack. All you have to do is follow UWS Soccer and Techni on Twitter and Instagram, attempt the skill, post it, tag UWS and Techni while challenging 3 of your friends. Make sure to use hashtag UWS Skills for your chance to win. A special thank you to Soccer Sam and Nicole Hercules for joining me this evening for UWS Weekly. You can follow all things UWS and UWS2 on their social media pages and send questions for future shows as well. So join us next Thursday as I'm joined by Lewis and Paige of Midwest United. So until Thursday, have a great evening and a weekend, and cheers, everyone.